The rice soil hack gardeners don't talk about enough that makes worms multiply and soil come alive fast. Your soil can be dead, compacted and exhausted today, and crawling with life in just weeks from now using something you already have in your kitchen. This isn't hype. This isn't theory. This is one of the fastest biological wake-up calls you can give tired garden soil, and once you see it in action, you'll never look at rice the same way again. If your beds stay hard no matter how much compost you add, if worms are rare visitors instead of permanent residents, or if mulch seems to sit there forever without breaking down, this is for you. Let's cut straight to the good stuff. Why soil life matters more than anything you can buy. Strong plants don't come from bottles or bags, they come from living soil. Every thriving garden runs on an underground workforce made up of bacteria, fungi, earthworms and countless microscopic helpers working around the clock. These organisms break down organic matter, unlock nutrients, improve soil structure, regulate moisture, and protect plant roots from disease. Earthworms are the visible proof that your soil is working. Where worms thrive, roots grow deeper, water penetrates better, and nutrients cycle naturally. Their castings are one of the most complete, gentle fertilizers nature produces. The problem is that worms don't show up unless there's food. That's where rice comes in. Why rice flips the switch faster than almost anything else? Rice is packed with starches and simple carbohydrates. In soil biology terms, that means fast energy. When these carbs hit the soil, dormant microbes wake up and multiply rapidly. Bacteria bloom first, fungi quickly follow, and that microbial explosion sends out a signal worms can't resist. Worms don't eat rice directly, they eat the microbes feeding on it. More microbes mean more worm food, and more worm food means faster reproduction. This is why rice doesn't just attract worms, it causes population booms. What makes rice especially powerful is how quickly it ferments once moisture is involved. That fermentation creates a living biostimulant that supercharges decomposition and jumpstarts soil ecosystems that have been inactive for years. How rice reactivates soil from the ground up. Once rice or rice water enters the soil, the process unfolds in stages. First comes the microbial bloom. Bacteria and fungi multiply at incredible speed, fueled by easy-access carbohydrates. This activity generates mild biological heat, creating warm microzones underground. That warmth draws earthworms in fast. They move toward these hotspots, feed aggressively, and begin reproducing. Within a couple of weeks, those zones transform into rich, dark, crumbly soil filled with castings. The structure improves, air and water move more freely, and roots respond immediately. This isn't a slow composting process, it's a rapid biological ignition. The rice water method for fast, gentle activation. Rice water is the easiest and safest way to start, especially if you're working with containers, raised beds, or delicate soil systems. Okay, so, take 1 cup of plain uncooked rice and place it in a bowl. Next, add 2 cups of non-chlorinated water. If you only have tap water available, just let it sit uncovered for about 12 to 24 hours first. Then, rub and swirl the rice gently until the water turns cloudy. That cloudiness, by the way, is liquid microbial fuel. Now, strain the rice and keep the water. This is your activator. Simply pour it directly onto garden beds, around fruit trees, into compost piles, or onto mulch-covered soil. For containers, you'll want to apply it as a light soil drench once every 7 to 10 days. Within 2 to 3 days, microbial colonies begin expanding beneath the surface. You'll notice that moisture retention improves, decomposition accelerates, and worms start gathering right where the rice water was applied. Using solid rice for deeper biological impact. When you want stronger, longer-lasting results, solid rice delivers. Leftover plain-cooked rice works perfectly, or you can soak uncooked rice until it softens. Mix a small handful of rice with compost, leaf mold, or aged manure. This step is important because it balances moisture, prevents sour conditions, and encourages beneficial fermentation instead of rot. Bury this mixture about 2 inches deep near plant roots or in pathways between crops. Cover lightly with soil or mulch to discourage pests and regulate moisture. Within 5 to 7 days you'll start seeing white fungal threads and worm channels forming around the burial zone. This is exactly what you want. That white growth is beneficial fungi breaking down organic matter and feeding the soil food web. How much rice is enough and why restraint matters? Rice is powerful, more is not better. A small handful per square meter is plenty to trigger massive biological activity. Overdoing it can create anaerobic conditions, leading to sour smells and stressed roots. So, think of rice as a match, not a log. You're igniting life, not burying the soil in fuel. Used sparingly, rice creates a controlled microbial wildfire that spreads naturally through your beds. Now, what happens underground when you get it right? In the first phase, microbial populations explode as starches break down. In the second phase, biological heat and fungal networks expand, pulling in worms from surrounding soil. Then in the third phase, worms feed and reproduce rapidly, processing organic matter into nutrient-dense castings. By the fourth phase, usually within 2 to 3 weeks, the soil transforms. It becomes darker, looser, and spongier. Mulch starts disappearing faster, roots grow deeper and thicker, water infiltrates instead of pooling, even pests decrease as plant health improves from the inside out. You know, rice and mulch together really do change everything. Applying rice just before laying down fresh mulch is honestly one of the most powerful combinations you can use. The microbes fueled by rice immediately begin breaking down the mulch, converting it into humus at record speed. This creates a living mulch layer that doesn't just protect soil but actually improves it too. So instead of mulch just sitting there for months, it becomes part of the soil ecosystem almost immediately. Let's talk about some smart tips to avoid problems and, get the best possible results. Always bury solid rice just a little bit to avoid attracting ants or flies. Apply rice water during the cooler parts of the day to cut down on evaporation and reduce stress on soil life. And hey, if you see white mold, celebrate. That's beneficial fungi doing their job. Never use rice that contains salt, oil, or seasoning. Keep it clean and plain. Oh, and combining rice with vermicompost or aged compost really multiplies the effect because you're feeding both microbes and worms at the same time. So, what can you expect within the first month? Well, within about 30 days, worm castings will become visible right on the soil surface. The soil itself darkens and loosens noticeably. Mulch breaks down faster than you might expect. White fungal growth appears beneath organic matter. Roots start to penetrate deeper with less resistance, and honestly, plants just green up naturally as nitrogen cycling increases, all without any added fertilizer. This method shines in compacted ground, exhausted raised beds, and areas damaged by chemical fertilizers. Rice doesn't just improve soil, it reawakens it. Why this works in any garden anywhere? Well, whether you garden in ground beds, containers, balconies, or small urban plots, this trick works. It's affordable, safe for all plants, and adaptable to any scale. You don't need special tools or rare ingredients. Just an understanding of how soil life responds to food. Once life begins underground, everything above ground follows. Final thoughts for fellow gardeners. This rice trick is one of the simplest, most effective soil biology boosters you'll ever use. It proves that healthy gardens aren't built with more products, but with smarter inputs. Feed the soil life, and it will feed your plants better than anything you can buy. If you found this guide valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to Farm Basic, share this with a fellow gardener, and help spread the knowledge of living soil. Your garden deserves life, and sometimes all it takes is a handful of rice to bring it roaring back.